Panther fans, hockey fans, how's everybody doing? So, before I get started, I just want to say an extra thank you to everybody who's been coming out to the live streams, and especially the ridiculous overabundance of your generosity with the super chats. It has allowed me to buy a nice professional microphone set up for Kyle and I, lapel mics. So that's going to be here towards the end of next week. So rather than the 20 little, I bought like a $20 little lapel mic real quick when I decided to do the streams. I said, well, if we do okay, maybe we can improve. We've done a lot better than okay. So I wanted to improve the quality of the sound as quickly as possible. So I spent a couple of bucks, and it was your money. So when the sound gets better, thank yourselves. But genuinely appreciate that. And all right, so last year, I think it was last summer, not this previous one, but the one before that, I was doing some Ask Jaws videos. Got busy, kind of let them slide under the rug, and I've had a few people keep asking, when are you going to do it? When are you going to do it again? So I'm going to try to do these every Friday. So you're watching this one. So in the comments for this one, you can reply with hashtag AskJaws to be in next week's. Or usually during the week, I will put out a community post that you can reply to. That's the best way to ask the questions. So without further ado, let's see what we got. The first question on the docket is Nerful. He says, who do you think is the biggest fraud among the teams projected to make the playoffs? Well, I can start off right now in the Eastern Conference and say none of them. The 8 teams that made last year were pretty much genuine contenders. I mean, I'm not going to call the Capitals or the Penguins frauds, even though, they didn't really have a high probability of winning. They could have taken out any team, as you saw the Capitals almost took us out. Over in the Western Conference is where I think the frauds are, and that's the Vegas Knights. Now, they got a hell of a lineup. Can you believe Marchessault and Smith are still there? I mean, it wasn't that long ago I was smashing a jar of marshmallow fluff out by my pond, pissed off about the expansion draft, and they're still there. So they've got a good lineup, but what they lack is the goaltending. Between the two goaltenders, they have barely 1 year's combined experience. I know they're off to a good start, which is fine, but in terms of getting into the playoffs and winning the cup, no, I would have to answer that question. I believe the Knights are going to make it. They've got too good of a roster not to make it. But when you get into the playoffs and they're going to be playing the Avalanche or the Flames, the Oilers, maybe even a couple of other teams, I think frauds is a bit extreme, but considering I'm still pissed off at them for taking Marchessault and Smith and dumping Fleury, we'll call them frauds. All due respect to the couple of Vegas fans that I know watch this channel. All right. The next question is from Colby. He says, what was your biggest personal sports accomplishment during my youth? I know the one that comes to mind off the top of my head. So I'll give that one. There were a few, but this one I was Little League baseball, and I was a good baseball player. If I had continued on playing baseball, I probably could have been, if not pro, semi-pro. I was good. I was fast. My problem is I wanted to hit a home run every time I was up at bat, so I either hit a home run or I struck out trying. And that was stupid because I was fast, and if I get on base, I could steal bases. But anyway, in Little League, I think it's called the Pony Leagues, right? You go from one age group to the next, and like the highest you can get, the oldest in Little League is the Pony group. And first game of the year, and I was batting cleanup, first game in the Pony Leagues, I got up to bat with bases loaded, and I hit the ball so far it landed in the middle of the football field. I forget the fence. I hit a grand slam, and it wasn't a huge park, all right? Let's just start there. There weren't not a lot of home runs hit because we were kids, but there was the baseball field. There was, I don't know, 20, 30 yards between the fence and the football field, and then somewhere around a third or a halfway into the football field is where the ball finally landed. It cleared the lights, it cleared the power lines, it just went over everything. So I hit a grand slam on my very first at bat in the pony leagues, and it was pretty much all downhill from there. I have beginner's luck at a lot of things. Like a lot of times I'll go fishing and first cast of the day would be my best fish of the day. So something about that. There were a few other things. I won some judo tournaments, things like that. But that's the one that sticks out. All right, next one. Stan Chang, who is a new subscriber to the channel. Really appreciate it. Says, when did you start your love of hockey? Do I have a secondary team I cheer for? And who do you absolutely hate? So he says, to be honest, my guess... Oh, Tampa Bay is my guess, but I'm a Calgary fan, and although I love the Edmontonians, the Canucks are a bit higher on the hated scale. All right. So my love of hockey, this is a very embarrassing story for a hockey guy, but it is what it is. I grew up in South Florida, right? Okay, I grew up watching the Dolphins. So I was born in 1971. The Dolphins won they won the Super Bowl when I was 1. It wasn't hockey. We didn't know from hockey, right? And I used to listen to a radio show by the name of Neil Rogers. Those of you who know Neil, you know Neil. If you don't know Neil, look him up. That's all I can say. And he was a big Toronto Maple Leaf fan. He would talk about hockey a lot. Now, the only hockey knowledge I had at that point was the back of the Miami Herald sports page would have the hockey standings. And I was a Edmonton Oilers fan just because I enjoyed watching the scores every game. It was like 10-2, 10. I mean, they were ridiculous, right? And then they would win the division. They were winning cups. So, I mean, to call it a fan, I was loosely based. But I was aware of hockey because I just enjoyed watching Edmonton be so much better than everybody else. But I never saw any games. There was no hockey on TV on the weekends in South Florida. Then the Panthers came. And what Neil kept saying on the radio is, don't watch it on TV. Listening to it on the radio is okay. You've got to go to a game. And that is the number one piece of advice I would give to anybody. If you have a friend that's going, I watched hockey, I don't know. Take them to a game. Once you get there and you realize, dude, the ice is just right there, right? It's like you could you could throw your napkin and hit the ice. It's just right there. And I know it's kind of the same with basketball, being close, but it's not. It's not the same. It's not the same. Hockey is far and away the best sport live. So I knew about the team. I wanted to be a fan. I was enjoying that. And then when I went to my first game, I didn't go to opening game, but I went to one of the first games like the first month. And then from there, I was just like absolutely hooked, listening, watching. So that's when it happened. All right, so our next one is from Mike. He says, Mike C. I should make note of that. Sometimes on the stream, we end up with like a half dozen Mikes. So this is from Mike C. Knowing what Tkachuk is capable of now, and that he is able to bring the grit and ability we needed for a longer run come the playoffs, would you still have made the trade? If not, what would you change? Anything about the trade you think we could have not given? Well, first of all, yes. You make that deal. I said it in the video before the trade happened. And when it happened, then I started questioning myself. I said, "Well, am I sure about this? Am I sure about this?" The first in the prospect at this point, I genuinely don't mind because we won't let anybody on the damn team anyway, right? Heponiemi is ready, and we just signed Eric Stahl. You see what I'm saying? So, like, Maurice is a guy that loves his veterans, so Schwint wasn't making this team just for that basis alone, and neither was the first-round draft pick that we gave up anytime soon. If you look at, I've said this, the only guys left on the skaters, right, that we drafted were Barkov, Lundell, and Ekblad, and then we got Spencer Knight. That's it. The rest of this team is free agents and waiver wire pickups and trades. So the development of our young guys seems to just be to use them as chips to get other players in. Totally happy with the trade. Totally happy with the trade. There's no way to get him without giving up Huberdeau and Weegar, in my opinion. And it was a price to pay. There's no doubt that it was a price to pay. I think as they're looking long term here, and now in hindsight they're talking about the cap might go up by $4 million. So hindsight's always 20/20. But I think they just looked at things and said, you know what? We've got Barkov in the bank. At some point down the road, we got to extend Ekblad if we're going to do that. We've got to pay Lundell. They had to extend Spencer Knight. And I think they knew what they had in Gustav Forsling, who's going to get paid. I like the trade. I was a little questioned about it, the warning of. But no, I don't think I wouldn't change anything. I don't think you could change the Huberdeau and Weegar part. Now, we gave up a lot in the sense that you would have thought maybe Huberdeau and Weegar even for Tkachuk, but they were both on expiring contracts, which mitigated things a little bit, right? They had to roll the dice if they could sign those guys, and they did. So good for them, good for us. We're still winning the cup. All right, next question. This is from Sweeze. He says, who will be the best pickup, White, Balcers, or Cousins? I'm going to go with Balcers. Now, White might seem to have more upside because of his, where he was drafted. Cousins is the perfect Achari replacement, right? I think he's going to do well. Hopefully he gets to stay on the ice because right before I recorded this, they signed Eric Stahl to the contract for $750,000. So instead of bringing up Heponiemi, they put in Stahl. I assume that's to maybe give Hornquist some nights off on the fourth line. Not so sure how that's going to work out. But Balcers, to me, I believe that line of Bennett, Tkachuk, and Balcers, leave it intact for the next 6 years, please. Just re-sign the kid now. They fit perfectly. The kid's already shown he's got some skills. He's already got a goal. I think that was his first goal. I think Balcers is going to, and let's face it, he's playing with Bennett and Tkachuk, so he's going to look better. White, in my season preview, I put him up on the top line. I wanted to see if he could get some chemistry with Barkov. I still feel the same way. I just saw the lines for tonight. Coach is not changing the lines. Reinhardt is still with Barkov, so we'll have to, he's going to force that square peg into the round hole, or he's going to wear it down, one or the other. So, but Balcers, I like the guy. I watched a lot of film on him. I did a couple videos about the new guys over the summer. I definitely like Balcers. And Nick from Twisted Wrister really likes him too as well. All right, Rosado. This is not a hockey question. By the way, I should mention this. You can ask any question. Anything but politics is open for discussion here. So Rosado has a non-hockey question. He says, he wants to know my favorite ride at Walt Disney World and where was I when I heard about Michael Jackson's death. I think I was in the grocery store. I don't remember all that much. I wasn't home, and then I got home, and then Kyle told me, and I said, yeah, I know, I heard. I think I was in the grocery store, but I can't remember that one. Now, in terms of my favorite ride at Disney World, it's kind of a two-part answer because my favorite ride was always Splash Mountain, which they filed the permits, and they're going to change it from Song of the South based to the Princess and the Frog based. So they're basically going to ruin the ride. It was my favorite ride. I love the song. I just love it. It's long. It's relaxing. The drop isn't too bad. I like it. But my favorite place to be in at Disney World, this is weird, is the queue at Pirates of the Caribbean. The walkway, there's just something about it because you got the cave and you got the dark and you got the skeletons, and it's so nice and cool in there. And the further you get closer to the ride with the water and the sound. So while my favorite ride was Splash Mountain, the favorite place to be, other than really the People Mover, is the queue at Pirates. I could pitch a tent at the queue at Pirates. All right, I got one more question. It's a couple questions from Raven. He's a smartass. Raven is a mod on the stream, and he does a lot of work for me. So I just want to take a minute right now to say I appreciate everything that you're doing. He's posting on the Discord. He's posting on the stream. He's giving everybody all the links, everything. So really want to. I appreciate it. And he's a Bruins fan, so wouldn't you know it? He's a good guy. Odd. All right. So he says to me, this is on the this is his comment on the recap from the Bruins beating the Panthers, because every year he's like to mention to me now that it seems to be that the Bruins are the team that breaks our undefeated streak. No matter how many games we are into the season undefeated, it's Boston that takes us down, which they did this time. So he says, how are you going to beat the superior Bruins next time? And what do you think of this emoji? And I'm going to give a close-up of the emoji. Now, Kyle and I looked at it. Now, Kyle says it's a bridesmaid. But I'm going to say it's a cute little girl delivering me a plate of cookies. All right? That's going to be my take on it. That's going to be my take. I think it's a cute little girl delivering me a plate of cookies. All right? Maybe bringing me some chocolate milk. All right? And then she goes back wherever she came from and let me watch the game with my chocolate milk and cookies. How are we going to beat the superior Bruins next time? Well, I don't know. You know, and we didn't even play Swayman. When the game started, I said, where the hell is Swayman? And Omar played a hell of a game. You guys got two good goalies, the same as the Panthers do. I can see why there was some question in last year's playoffs in terms of who was going to get to start, even though I think they stuck with Allmark a little bit too long there in the end. But we don't match up well against the Bruins. The Bruins are a big team, and you know, I'm not going to make excuses, but let's be honest. We played the Bruins at the end of a road trip to start the season. It wasn't, you know, and we were down a defenseman, and then Ekblad got hurt. So it wasn't our best day. I would say the key to here we go. I can answer your question like this. The key to winning the next game is having a full 18 players on the ice the entire game. Yeah, I think that's the key, is to actually ice a complete hockey team as opposed to playing one man short and then playing two man short, and then one of your defensemen takes a penalty in the third period, so you had to kill that off with 3 defensemen. I think that's the key for most teams, is have 18 guys, Bill. Okay? Jeez. All right. That's it. Short and sweet. I appreciate everybody who reached out. It's the perfect amount of questions, right? Not too long, not too short. A little bit of fun. What do we got? We got the Lightning tonight. The game is on ESPN Plus. Kyle is going to be installing ESPN Plus to the TV. So we're going to be streaming the game to the TV, streaming out. I hope my backwoods internet can handle it all. If it can't, I'll probably have to stop the stream. So cross your fingers. Send some extra. Y'all send some extra Wi-Fi my way. It's very skittish out here, right? We got good weather. It's not too cold. It's not too windy, so we should be good. But if a bird flies over the house, I might lose signal. So, all right. Appreciate all the support. I'll see you guys again tonight.